am Sol. I am Diana Cosio.
I am Kenji.
As this channel's producer, I'll be cooking today. But yes, I am totally a beginner level. I am a level 2 cook.
I studied at Red Gourmet in San Martin. I took a sushi course.
I'm a chef with 15 years of professional experience.
I cook at home not too much. I prefer to cook for other people.
I'm going to make a potato omelette stuffed with mozzarella cheese, and it has a special ingredient that you will see.
My friend and colleague Pablo Sabio taught me this omelette recipe, which is unique not for its basic ingredients, egg, potato, and onion, but for its cooking method.
What we're going to start doing is peeling the potatoes. We have 3 little potatoes.
We have 3 potatoes here, roughly 700 to 800 grams.
Here I have a good amount of potatoes. Don't ask me how many kilos they are because I don't know. Black potato, white potato, there's no problem with that. This part is the worst part of cooking a potato omelette.
We've peeled and cleaned black potato, just like you see at the real greengrocer. It's the literal potato filled with dirt. Clean it, get rid of dirt. It's more work but has more flavor.
We remove all the little pieces of root from the potato. Anything that's dark, we remove everything, so it's really clean.
I don't wash them before peeling them, because after all, you're peeling them.
Always have a waste bowl regardless of what you're cooking. Try not to have the cutting board full of food. Don't struggle and start cutting with the waste.
I'm more of those who, I feel there are many who are going to be on my team, those who make a mess, cook, eat, enjoy it, and then take care of cleaning.
The more space you have on the board, the better you will be able to work.
First, peel the potatoes, then cut them into small 2x2 km squares to avoid a bulky potato omelette. I'll crack the potato. What does that mean?
I'm using a curved knife, possibly small and quite handy for this task. I cut the potato and break it, which disrupts its cellular structure, extending the starch and enhances absorption. You might hear this noise when I do it.
I use these types of knives on this channel. It's like you see your reflection, you see your enemies.
Within this irregular cut, try to find an even size.
So we'll be doing, I don't know what exactly, 1 to 1.5 centimeters. Be careful with your fingers. We'll be making cubes in the middle.
Well, here we have a little onion, half a bell pepper, and a little bit of green onion. So we're going to proceed to chop everything.
And what we're going to do, once all the potato is cut inside the bowl, we're going to salt it. We'll leave it for roughly 20 minutes. What we're achieving there is that every time you eat the potato, it's all salty, not just salty on the outside. This seems like a lot to me already, doesn't it? The salt I'm adding here is the salt I would naturally add to this amount of potato. What does this mean? That depends on your salt intake, you manage it. As I massage it, it will gradually release water over time. Logically, we want them to slightly dehydrate and the salt to penetrate. Nothing, we just have to wait now.
For me, the omelette goes with onion. You cut the onion in half, leave the root, but cut off this, the tip. From here, you peel it.
We'll begin with 2 large onions and a small one. They should be about half a kilo, 600 grams of onion.
We'll begin by peeling it, removing the skin. This is a cut known as feather. Then we flip it and chop into small squares. Remember, here's the knot, I cut it this way.
Very thin, as thin as you can, see?
The small strips are perfect for me. If you find a big piece of onion in the omelette, for me, chopping onions is like therapy, even though I start crying afterwards. The more blunt the knife, the less it breaks the cellular structure of the onion, and the less you cry.
However, now we aim to break this.
We'll use a quarter of the large bell pepper instead of a half. We cut into strips.
Once we finish cutting it, what we do is peel it off, shred it a little bit so that all the strips are left. And I add salt. Keep in mind, the salt I've added is just enough to properly season the onion. I'll add more since I'll drain and wash it later. We're going to use both parts of the green onion to give it color, flavor, and a very nice texture. Let the salt get into the onion. In fact, I squeeze a little bit, breaking the cellular structure of the onion so it starts to get juicy, so the salt gets inside. And you're going to see from all this amount of onion that seems like a lot. Now, once it's cooked, it's going to be nothing, just a little handful of onion like this. Extremely flavorful, very sweet, adequately salty, providing immense pleasure to the tortilla. We leave this as it is for 20 minutes. We occasionally mix and knead it, as previously mentioned.
And now we can start chopping the secret ingredient, the mushrooms. I love the texture it gives. Some people find it a bit bland. I love it. I love the texture.
I'm going over there to heat up a little oil to fry them.
The idea of confit is not to exceed 100 degrees in temperature.
It has to go on a medium heat. You adjust it as it cooks.
We're going to look for a neutral oil, a good amount, so they can be submerged.
Here, a neutral oil like sunflower or corn oil is suitable.
Corn oil, sunflower oil, whatever you like.
For about 800 grams of potato and 600 grams of onion, I'm using roughly 1.5 liters of oil.
Just the required amount, not too much.
It seems excessive, but that oil won't be used in the preparation. I'm using oil specifically to fully immerse the food.
First, we're going to add some onion and the little bell pepper.
And I don't want to burn myself either, so I'm going to do it with a skimmer, although I probably need a little more oil.
Let's first try potato. What should happen is that it gives off a little bit of bubbles. That means it's hot enough to start evaporating. Potato liquid creates bubbles when trying to escape.
Salt, oregano. I love using bay leaves for all preparations that include little onion and bell pepper. What do you want me to tell you? Tickle, tickle.
Either way, as soon as they add more potatoes or any cold product, it's going to lower the oil temperature. To hit 100 degrees, I preset the oil to 120 degrees.
So, when I finish adding all the potatoes, it reaches the temperature I'm looking for. We cut some little onions. We're going to caramelize them. We're going to blanch them a little bit. It's not going to be anything big. How do you realize that our little onion and our little sausage are ready? The onion has to be transparent. It has to be golden. We're going to set the fire medium-high to heat the oil. The amount of oil we're going to use is about the same as when the potatoes are added. It should be covered.
We have to leave it long enough so that I can take the potato, prick it, and it's cooked. The knife naturally passes through the potato, but not so cooked that it falls apart. I want to eat a potato omelette with whole potato, not mashed.
We're going to put a little bit of oil. I like to caramelize or cook the onions a little bit with olive oil.
As you can see, here we already have the veggies and the mushroom very, very well cooked. Very nice. We're going to add a little bit of salt.
It's been cooking for about 12-13 minutes now. Let's see if it's ready. This depends on the cut size. They keep the oil, but no need to dry it like a French fry, as we'll drain it anyway. All this oil is not going to be inside the tortilla.
When you have Teflon things, be careful with these and let the onions, with a little bit of salt, slowly cook. Everything ready, and we put it in the bowl.
Well, now we continue with the onion. 25 minutes have passed. Half an hour every 5 minutes I was massaging and pressing it. Notice that what I'm going to do now is grab a handful and squeeze it well to remove all the residual water. We'll use the same oil we confited the potato in for the onion. It has lost more volume than when it was raw.
You'll see a small amount of oil left when we add the potatoes. Meanwhile, we're preparing the potato omelette and adding a bit of oregano. They seem ready. It's probably better not to eat it while it's very hot, but those fearing death shouldn't have been born. If you slice it and it's somewhat soft, it's good.
Well, after 25 minutes of the onion confiting in the oil, I'm going to leave it like this. Notice that it has a slightly ochre color, but you can't smell the aroma that I smell, but it's very, very sweet. It's the aroma of 100% cooked onion.
And here we have our potatoes that now for me is the time when I salt them.
We'll break the eggs. Given the quantity of potato and onion, around 6 or 7 eggs, depending on their size, should be enough.
Avoid eating hot potatoes because they're hot when swallowed.
Be careful with the eggs. Don't send them all at once, because if there's one that's so-so, we lose all the preparation. Here we have the potatoes. We're going to throw in the onions.
What we always do is break the eggs to make sure there's none that are bad and ruin the preparation we've been working on. We break the egg separately and put it into a bowl.
This is something I didn't do until literally 2 weeks ago when I had to throw away an omelette because the third egg I opened was bad. So we're going to start breaking the eggs. Don't judge me on how I break the eggs and see if they're good or not.
Now we whisk. Let's not forget to remove the bay leaf. We take out the potatoes. This is the point that I think they should be at.
We will salt only the eggs, as the potato and onion are pre-salted. We stir, and here we have our potato omelette preparation. We break up the structure of the yolks and the white a bit. we combine, add the potato, and add the onion. What we do now, the only important thing is to make sure to integrate well, especially the onion, which is perhaps the most compressed and knotted, to disperse it throughout the eggs. But well, I think it's pretty good, like this. We grab a pan, high heat. For now, we'll be adjusting it. Necessary amount, I put quite a bit so it doesn't stick. When working with a Teflon pan, it's much more likely, and we make sure that the omelette doesn't stick. Pan on the fire, very, very hot. What I'm doing now is adding a little of the oil I used to confit, a little bit of the oil with which we fried the potatoes. Well,
Nothing, we just added a bit there. We add half of the preparation,
this noise means it's hot enough.
and this would seem to be, and off it goes.
Our ingredient, which is mozzarella cheese.
And what I do now is break. Notice, boiled egg that is at the base, I take it to the middle. I begin to put together like a scrambled egg. Don't worry, because eventually I'm going to leave this still so that it generates that film of boiled egg and the omelette forms for me. But now what I want to do is integrate all the preparation.
You can use processed cheese, creamy cheese. You can fill it with bacon, cheese, whatever you want, whatever you like, ham. And we're going to dump the rest of the preparation.
And here the point for me is that it seals well, like the layer below, so when I flip it over, it doesn't fall apart. We're gonna have a plate to plate it and a plate to flip it over, which is gonna be here.
Let's begin removing the small tortilla.
Now I press it down well, making sure that all the volume inside here fills the entire pan. It's time to lower the heat and cover it.
So nothing, there I go doing the little edges like this.
We cover it with a small plate and flip it quickly.
I cover the pan's diameter, hold a dishcloth in case it gets hot to avoid burning myself. Now, you mustn't be afraid or hesitant. You have to flip it all at once.
The point here is not to be afraid. Start, 1, 2, 3, done. Finished, drop something. Let's do it as it should be done.
Frying pan, back to the fire.
And now you throw it back again. But
Pass it. I don't know if you hear the noise.
We adjusted a bit there. Oh, look. Tuki. Same procedure, high heat. We cover it 2 minutes and we lower the heat a bit so it doesn't burn.
In those 30 or 40 seconds that they are cooking on the other side of the tortilla, give it a round shape so it becomes thicker and more circular.
perhaps this is not the way to plate it. We're going to make it a bit worse. It turned out quite round. It turned out quite nice.
Voila! Our potato omelette.
I'll place a plate for presentation. Unafraid I flip it. What appeals to me is a somewhat golden, juicy, well-cooked omelette.
An omelette made by your mom, grandma, or aunt is something you'd never refuse.
Well, here we have our potato omelette with an ingredient that was the mushroom filled with mozzarella cheese.
Do you see what I'm telling you? This movement of breaking it, of making it like scrambled eggs, makes the omelette juicy because I squeeze it and it's completely juicy, but at the same time the portion remains whole.
This looks delicious. It's a little cooked too, perhaps. Yes, I overcooked it a bit, but it's a good potato omelette. You can taste the onion. I would like it to be a little less cooked. Yes, I love it. Very much.
It's very good.